Hello BookTube, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for this video because I am doing an original tag. I don't know if this kind of tag has been on BookTube before. I kind of tried to look it up to see if there was anything similar, and the only video I kind of got was Errol Bassett's video where she did coordinates to find books. But it's not really the same because I've got questions which I've kind of written down. You get the book and you kind of talk about the book and kind of why you've put it in that question, I suppose. That is the tag. I'm sorry if this has been done, but I couldn't find anything, so we're going with what I've got. This is called the What's on My Shelf book tag. It is 12 questions, and I will put all the questions down below in the down bar, I think, you know. So the first question is, a book on your shelf which you didn't think that you'd like, but you ended up liking. This book for me was Room by Emma Donoghue. I heard really good things about this book, but me being me, the more hyped the book is, the more I tend to dislike it. I got lent this book by my friend, I'm pretty sure it was, and she told me it was a great book, you know, you gotta read it. So I did, borrowed it, read it, and I loved it. I loved it so much that I watched the movie. The movie was a bit of a downgrade. I do reckon the book was better, and I love the way that it's told in Jack's perspective. It is a book that to begin with I did not think that I would like, but I liked it so much that I went out and bought it, because when you like a book, you get it. The second question is a book on your TBR pile that you have been meaning to read for the longest time. This book for me is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. That gave me such a fright, my cat just sneezed. By Rennie Edo Lodge. This book was first mentioned in Emma Watson's kind of book group on Goodreads. I got it for the sake of reading it and like joining in with her book group. I got about halfway through at the beginning of this year but didn't really continue it because I had other things going on. I kind of regret not getting back into it. I have started it, but it is still on my TBR pile because I haven't yet finished it. The third question in this tag is a book that you have started that you want to get back into reading. This for me is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I began reading it a few times, and the last time that I read it was with Roya's Classic Cliques book group on Goodreads as well. I began reading it about a month after that because I missed the month where she was doing it, so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon and get into reading it. I got how many pages through? 44. I've still got the bookmark in there. I got 44 pages through before I got droned into exams, or studying for exams. Exams only just begun, really, and I didn't end up continuing it, so I still want to get back into reading this. Number 4 is a book you have read because you liked the movie. This book for me is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. I absolutely adored the movie. I love Sam Claflin. That's the only reason I watched that movie, just pointing that out, because I loved Sam Claflin in Hunger Games as Finnick, so I wanted to watch him in Me Before You, and I loved it. And then I borrowed, again, Me Before You off one of my friends, and I loved it, so I asked my mother for it for Christmas because at this stage I didn't have a job to buy books, and being the lovely darling that she is, she got it for me, and I still love it to this day, even though I don't agree with some of the things being portrayed within the novel. It's definitely a book which I love a lot. Question number 6 is a book you have read and you want to watch the movie to it. For me, this book I have not long just read, and I actually did my English exam on it last week. No, this week that I'm filming it, because the week's not over yet. It is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I wasn't originally going to do this book for my exam. but The Crucible, which I've read several times throughout the year, and war poetry, which is World War I poetry, I didn't connect with, and when I read this, I loved it, and I wanted to do my exam on it, so I did, much to my teacher's disgust. If I'm going to do better with this book than what I am the others, she should be fine with it. I really enjoyed this book. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do. I got the specific cover, well not cover, but book, because it's got educational stuff within it, so it tells you about the themes and all the ideas and all about the author and everything within it. Being able to read all the in-depth analysis of the book made me really enjoy it a lot more, and I want to see the movie now to see whether the people I pictured in my mind are the same as what comes on the screen, which normally it's not, but I still like to get a visual of the actual characters. Question number 6 is your all-time favourite book that is on your shelf. This for me is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Nevin. It is one that I highly recommend to everybody, and I actually lent this out to a person and they would not give it back to me, so I had to go and purchase another copy of it. The reason I love this so much is because she delves quite deep into mental illnesses, and I love it. John Green kind of did it with The Fault in Our Stars, but I don't think he portrayed it as well as what Jennifer Nevin did. So when I read this, I honestly just fell in love with it. I cried reading this book on the bus on the way to school. I came to school and I like stained cheeks from crying, and I was there going like this, trying to get it all gone, but it wouldn't go away, and I just kept thinking about it, and it's just stuck with me, and it's a book that I don't think I'll part with when I go off to study up north once I finish school, because I'm going to eventually start, well I have started, narrowing down my books, and I'm trying to put myself on a book buying ban so that I don't have to part with so many books at the end of next year. And this is one book that I do not think I will part with. Number 7 is your least favourite book on your shelf. This for me, which is very sad, is a book within the Twilight series, and Twilight kind of introduced me to young adult fiction, but within the Twilight series, my least favourite was New Moon. A lot happens within this book, but I just didn't connect with it. I didn't like how characters acted towards each other, and all round I just really hated it. I've reread it a few times and I still highly dislike it. I don't loathe it as much as what I used to, because, you know, times evolve and you move on, but it's still not 100% one of my favourites within my shelf, and the Twilight series especially. Question number 8 is a new book to your shelf. Now I do say I'm on a book buying ban, but I went op shopping the other day, which is featured in my reading vlog, and I bought 3 books, I think it was, which isn't too bad because I only spent $5 altogether. This book, which is new to my shelf, is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I have heard really good things about this book, and when I saw it in the op shop, I had to grab it up, and it is now a book that is on my TBR pile to read after I no longer talk to white people about race, because I need to finish that. Question number 9 is a book that you thought was going to be a 5-star read but wasn't. For this, I am saying The Book Thief by Marcus Suzak. I did not enjoy reading it. I didn't see where the hype was or the emotion within the story. I did a reading vlog where I read this book, and throughout the whole time I read it really slowly because I wasn't enjoying it. But I wanted to finish it to see where it was going, whether, you know, the hype was worth it or not, and it wasn't. One book that a person may like, another may dislike, so we all have our different opinions on books, and that just happens to be my opinion on The Book Thief. Question number 10 is a book or series that you want to reread. This for me is a series that I read about 4 or 5 years ago, and I really enjoyed it, which I didn't think that I would. It is the Flowers in the Attic series. If you haven't read them, I suggest you should read them. It is a bit weird, especially the first book is very weird, very odd, but once you get past the oddness, it is really good. I actually recommended these to my friends, and when op shopping, not the last time I went op shopping, but one of the times before that, we found the whole Flowers in the Attic series, and I pretty much forced, but it was a Here, love these books kind of forced my friend to buy the series, and even she said it was really weird, but somehow she was addicted to it, which is exactly what I felt when I read them, and I really want to reread them and remember what it was like when I first read them. Question number 11 is a book that, when asked to recommend, it is the first one to pop into your head. For this, I actually have 2 books. As mentioned earlier, I have All the Bright Places by Jennifer Nevin, and my other read is Milk and Honey by Ruby Kaur. I adore these 2 books, and I honestly recommend everyone to read them, which is why they are in this question. Milk and Honey, I feel like everyone can get something out of it. It may not be the exact same feelings as what Ruby Kaur feels within her poetry, because really only she knows what she feels with hers, but I think everyone can get something out of it. There are poems in here which I feel like I can relate to on a personal level, not in the same way that Rupi Kaur does, but through my own experiences, and I just feel like everyone should read this or pick it up and read something within this, because I feel like everyone can connect with some of it. And All the Bright Places, as I mentioned earlier, I loved it for the mental illness side of it. You really get an in-depth understanding about mental illness, and I think everyone needs that understanding, because we're coming to a stage in this world where mental illnesses are kind of all around us, and this helps you pick up on the signs that you didn't think were there but actually are there, and they help you understand what people are actually going through with mental illnesses. And the last question, which is question 12, is a book you got because it interests you but you haven't read it yet. This book I didn't buy myself, it was actually on my family's bookshelf, and when we cleared that I snatched it up. It is Mina from Mars, Women Are From Venus by John Gray. I was told it's about the differences between men and women, and also kind of similarities that are there, but mainly how different we are from one another, which is pretty much stating, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, we're on 2 different planets, we are 2 different people, we are not quite the same, which is strange because we're all about equality at the moment. But I suppose because it was published in '93 that we can override that equality thing, because it wasn't until kind of like recently where everyone's like, yes, equality, men and women are the same, we're equals. But it is definitely a book that I want to get into and try out and read, and I think it would actually be really interesting to see how different we are from one another. So that is the What's on My Shelf book tag, an original tag by me. I am fully apologizing if there is a tag somewhere where this is already a thing, but from my kind of delving into research, I couldn't find anything, and I'm just excited to share this with everyone. I am tagging 3 people to do this challenge. I am tagging PipReads, I am tagging the White Book Cottage, and I am also tagging Roya from RoyaEveReads. She's another New Zealander, you should go check her out, and that's who I'm tagging. Have fun with this tag, guys. I actually kind of did, going through my shelf and going, hey, this is cool. I forgot all the memories from this book, so I can't wait to see your videos. Have fun, and I will see everyone else in my next video. Bye!